In this video I'm going to be talking about another homeless short film I've watched, which is also called Homeless, so it will be known as Homeless Number 2, which shows the story of an actual homeless person who the cameraman has actually interviewed on the streets and got some information from. His name's Tony, and to start off with, he talks more about his background, his kind of personal story. We find out he's got 2 children, he was engaged, things like that, and obviously that, as well as giving some sort of backstory, it helps help us empathise with Tony, and we give him sympathy, rightly so obviously. Ian goes on to talk about his hopes and dreams and how he wants to come off the streets, and kind of what the future lies ahead for him. So we definitely give him more information about the character, about the homeless man, as opposed to in other ones I've watched where it's more about people's responses. Izzy and I aren't sure whether or not we want to kind of incorporate this kind of personal feel to the homeless characters. We're kind of going to focus more on the public's responses to the individuals as opposed to their responses to the public, if that makes sense. The shots were very good. There was kind of a grey tint on everything, which made obviously everything look really murky and dingy. They filmed when it was raining and it wasn't really sunny like obviously would have shown happiness. He does talk about the public response to him, and how, but in more of a happy light, how people have given him money and clothes, and how grateful he is that the public kind of do respond positively to him. Later on, he does talk about how he does get some abuse, like people kicking him, stealing from him, punching him, which obviously is awful, and again draws emotion from the audience, and we do sympathise with him. It's very clever the way they kind of edit it all together, as there's a voiceover of Tony speaking about people being generous and helping him out, and as that voiceover plays, a member of the public comes forward and gives him some change, and Tony's very grateful, shakes his hand. So it all looks like Tony is the kind of poor, kind of innocent homeless man who is being preyed upon by, I don't know, thugs that are beating him up, and how actually he's just looking for kind of some sort of companionship and warmth. He talks about when people do kind of interact with him and speak to him, it makes him feel human, which again means we're not 100% sure we want to focus on, like I said, the homeless people's response. We kind of want, I'm not sure, we'll talk about the public thinking whether they're human or not, and how they see them in their eyes, if that makes any sense. There's lots of quite interesting shots. There's a point of view shot of Tony where they put the camera behind his head, and you can just see the top of his head, so you're aware that it's of his point of view. And you see pedestrians just kind of walking past, glancing at him, quickening their pace and such which is what obviously what Izzy and I want to kind of go for. That like I've said loads of times, the public's response to the homeless people. Which overall you do definitely identify with Tony. Loads of sympathy for him. You definitely get the real vibe, the rawness of his honesty, and how he really feels about living on the streets, and how there is this ray of sunshine. There's also a little message he gives at the end where he talks about his hopes for the future, and he tells the audience that whatever possessions you do have, kind of keep hold on to, appreciate the things you own in life, don't take things for granted, which is nice to put at the end. But I'm not sure whether we'd be interested in incorporating any sweet, nice things. We want to reflect the realness of, and the raw dingy horror of really living on the street, and how people do honestly react to the homeless people that live on the streets. Like I've said 100 times before, that's what we want to incorporate. So although this short films give me lots of ideas for shots and things like that, and ideas like the point of view shot was really good, I liked that, of people walking past. The content of it, however, maybe not so much of what Tony's talking about, but some of what he says about people's reactions, I don't know, people giving him money, people beating him up, that kind of stuff like that, we really want to explore further. And that's it basically.